And his team are willing to go where most firms are not. The courtroom. With a successful track record in civil litigation, criminal defense, including tax issues and healthcare fraud, Harris Law Office will fight for their clients by offering the most aggressive representation in and out of court. Call Paul Harris at Harris Law Office for a free consultation. 304-232-5300.
Quaker Steak and Lube at the Highlands is the perfect place to relax after a long day. Happy hour from 3 to 6 Monday through Friday. Get $2 off appetizers, $3 off domestic drafts, and house wine specials. Quaker Steak and Lube, voted Best Wings USA. Quaker Steak and Lube at the Highlands with another steal of a deal. Get a steak burger and fries all day Monday for only $8.99. It's also Military Mondays. The Lube will take 25% off for all veterans, active duty military, and first responders. Quaker Steak and Lube, voted Best Wings USA.
I'm not buying till I checked on Ford.
Most of us are faced with uncertainty every day. Your job, your finances, sporting events, schooling for your children, and so much more. With so much uncertainty surrounding you, there is one auto dealership that you can be certain about, and that's Doane Ford. You can be certain that you always get a great deal and the best service afterwards. Being in business for over 50 years.
Okie dokie, thank you.
I'm not buying till I checked on Ford.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your Thursday. Look for plenty of sunshine mixing in with just a few clouds through the afternoon. Daytime high near 83. Overnight low of 58 degrees with increasing cloud cover. The widely scattered shower can be expected. Then you'll see a mix of sun and clouds for your Friday with highs near 80 degrees. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
News, information, conversation, controversy, and fun. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
Second cup of coffee for the morning. Mine's the hazelnut. What are you drinking? Biff, are you drinking coffee this morning, or what do you got?
No, I've got water this morning.
Water? Oh, hydrating today, huh?
Yeah, a little warm, so I went with water, but I'm sure at some point we'll switch over to coffee.
I'm just, as you've heard me say all week, I've gotten so much in love with this hazelnut coffee. I suppose eventually I'll stop drinking and do something else, but I do like this hazelnut coffee drinking this morning, of course, out of the official Watchdog Morning Show mug. You know, you've heard me say, Biff, that sometimes I think, I love her and she loves me, but I don't think that my daughter-in-law always trusts me to be a responsible adult. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, I understand.
Earlier this week I mentioned that she and my wife normally go on Monday nights to a painting class. And so Teddy's dad will be here to watch him, but Teddy's dad was also busy, so Granddad was going to have to be the watcher. And my daughter-in-law said, "Oh, I better just stay home. I don't think Granddad can. Of course, Granddad can watch him." But I also think maybe it's not me. Maybe it's all Monroe men she thinks aren't competent. My daughter-in-law is on an out-of-town business trip for a couple of days. Left yesterday. So she called this morning and said to my wife, "Would you go down to the house and make sure that Jason and Teddy woke up?" Just doesn't exactly trust her husband to make sure that he's up and he's got to get to school. So would you please try and get him to school to make sure he gets up and gets to school this morning? So So maybe I shouldn't feel so bad. It's not just me. It's just apparently it's all the Monroe men.
So she
thinks are not particularly competent.
So she doesn't want she doesn't want the big kid being you watching the little kid.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. So, all right, it's 8:12 in the morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show. A lot of stuff I want to get to. Coming up in just a little bit, hopefully Stephen Allen Adams from the Ogden newspaper chain is going to join us. Stephen was working late into the night last night, and I talked to him while he was still at the State House. He was covering the late night Senate hearings, Senate session on the income tax proposal and the budget bill, both which were eventually passed by the Senate, now go over to the House. I'm not even sure what's in this income tax bill. I watched it, but there was no fiscal note, there were no PowerPoint presentations showing things. You just had to kind of follow along with what the Republican leadership was saying out loud. Several of the Democrats, several of the minority said, no offense, but we're not sure we trust you on this. So I'm going to try and see if Stephen, if he's awake after a late night last night, can bring us up to speed on that. That's coming up a little bit later on. Have some more thoughts on outdoor dining that we talked about the last couple of days. I want to get to that too. But first, let's talk about this rate increase for water, sewer, and garbage rates in the city of Wheeling. And to help me get a better handle on that, I've invited the city manager from Wheeling, Bob Heron, to join us. Good morning, Bob.
Good. Good morning, Howard.
Is it sunny where you are? I'm trying to figure out our forecast. I think it's sunny, but it's going to turn cloudy, but it's sunny right now.
It is sunny here, and there's somebody running a lawnmower outside my window, so hopefully you don't hear that.
These are the problems we have. Yeah, these are the problems. I have to always alert people if I'm working broadcast from home all the time, and I have to alert people sometimes if there's going to be something happening here in the house. We're putting a new furnace in, for example, right now. When the furnace man is here, look out, because I'm going to be banging on the ducts all morning long. But it's part of the new COVID life we have. Bob, council passed these rate hikes already. Is that correct? They actually passed them on. Okay.
Yes, that's correct. They go into effect 45 days after passage.
Tell me what the need for them is, and just give me the big overview. I have some questions, but why don't you just sort of give me the big overview on this?
Yeah, well, we have what's called a long-term control plan, which is specific to eliminating combined sewer overflows. I think per capita, the city at one point in time, probably 30 years ago, had the most combined sewer overflows of any city in the country. And I think at the time it was around 280 of them, which a combined sewer overflow is where you have a combined sewer that takes not only during the day or during normal low water or low flow times, just takes sewage and takes it right to the wastewater treatment plant. But when you have a combined sewer, when there's a rain event, that also takes stormwater. And the stormwater is restricted, the flow of that is restricted to the wastewater treatment plant because the wastewater treatment plant can only accommodate so much flow. And when you get a major rain event, that flow could go from a normal of 5 million gallons a day that's treated to well over 20 million, and we just can't handle that. So what happens, and the pipes can't handle it. So what happens is there's an overflow into either Wheeling Creek or the Ohio River, and we've been able to eliminate we've gotten down to about, I think we're down to like 28 combined sewer overflows right now. And so we have to systematically go through, and we're at the ones that are the hardest to eliminate and the most expensive. So anyway, we've got this plan, which cities across.
And Bob, this is why we have so many homes that have basement flooding and so on in heavy storms, right?
That's right. What happens is your sanitary sewer line is hooked into a combined sewer, so that when you get a major rain event, there's so much water goes into that pipe that stormwater and even when it does discharge into a combined sewer overflow, there's so much volume that even the pipe that's discharging can't handle the volume. So that's what creates the backups into basements during heavy rain events.
Which is among the biggest number of complaints I think you guys probably get, are these overflows into basements on heavy rains, right?
Yes, It is, and we are constantly trying to eliminate combined sewer overflows. And when we do, we've had occasion where we thought we had it eliminated, we thought we had the problem solved, and we get a rain event and there's somebody's basement gets flooded, and that's unacceptable. So, but some of it is, it's such a monumental problem that, it will take years to fix, but we're systematically going through that process. And right now, the rate increase that City Council approved Tuesday night on the sewer side is Phase 3B, and all total, that Phase 3, when it's all said and done, is going to be a $35 million project. We've already done 10 of it, and we're going to do another 25. So these are big projects, big numbers, and the way the plan is set up is that we're supposed to have a project in the $18 to $20 million range, projects I should say, because they're listed, every 3 years. And this is a large increase. We all get that. So what we're trying to do is systematically go through this plan, and the way the reality of it's working is that we're really looking at every 5 years. In another 5 years, there could be another large rate increase. But I don't anticipate anything between now and then, and there hasn't been anything in the last 5 years. So, it is a big increase right now. There's no doubt about that. But if you average that over a 10-year period, it goes down to the 3.5% range.
I know almost everybody who spoke last week, I watched the Zoom meeting, almost everybody who spoke began by acknowledging there's a need for more work, but then questioned the timing, I guess, of this and the size of this increase. But I think most people who stop to think about it understand that this is a huge problem for the city, and you can't fix it if you don't have the money to fix it, right?
True, and this has been in the works for over a year, this particular project, so we've delayed it for as long as we possibly can, and we do have a deadline, and we have the $10 million bond anticipation note that was issued in 2016 expires in June, so we have to have permanent long-term financing for that. So we've waited for as long as we possibly can in order to institute this rate increase in light of everything that's going on. So part of that is the City Council didn't have a choice, but we delayed it for as long as we could.
So, and the rate increases will go into effect relatively immediately, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And there are advantages to that. It used to be, the law changed about in 2016 where the rate process is not regulated by the Public Service Commission. Prior to that, the Public Service Commission did regulate the rate process, not the rates, but the process. And the process would take, if prior to 2016, we would be a year away from these rates going into effect. But in addition to that, the Public Service Commission would require that those rates do not go into effect until a project is completed, which created what's called capitalized interest. And we were able to get around that on the water treatment plant, which, if you recall, that was a $35 million project. That saved by doing what we're doing now. Back then, that saved the ratepayers over $7 million just in a 3-year period. So at any rate, to answer your question, they do go into effect at the beginning of the projects now. And in this particular case, it's probably, we haven't done the capitalized interest calculations, but in light of the fact that it was for a $35 million project, it was $7 million. We're probably saving, by doing it now, probably saving the ratepayers $4 to $5 million that they otherwise would pay just in interest.
Bob, I'm going to have to do a quick commercial break. When I come back, I want to get a sense of what does this rate increase mean to, I don't know what the average person is, but what does it mean to the average citizen of Wheeling? And I also, if you don't mind, I'm going to throw out a couple of the questions that were thrown out by some of the people at council this week and see what you can tell us about those things. So just hang in for one quick second if you don't mind, sir, and we'll get right back. It's 8:21 after the hour. Bob Herron is with us, Wheeling City Manager. This is the Watchdog Morning Show for a Thursday.
I'm Chuck Reddick, Commissioner of the Internal Revenue Service. We're working hard to get ready for tax filing season. You know who else is working hard? Identity thieves. Keep your computers and your mobile phones secure. Use antivirus software and strong passwords. Look out for email scams. Secure your home Wi-Fi with a password. Stay safe when you shop online. Look for HTTPS in the web address. See irs.gov for details.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Bel Air. The Watchdog is protecting your yard. Join Howard Monroe, Hoppy Kercheval, Bill DeFabio, and Big Rick for the best live and local talk in the Upper Ohio Valley and beyond. Bel Air trusts the Watchdog.
Miss a part of the show? Want to hear a segment again? Check out our podcast page at watchdognetwork.com. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
8:24, 24 after the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. 61 degrees, sunny at my home studios. Could see clouds coming in later in the day, and a bit of rain is possible later in the day as well. Continuing our conversation with Wheeling's City Manager Bob Herron about the water and sewer rate increases that were approved by council this week. Bob, everybody, of course, is different. I think one of the folks who spoke at council this week represents a business as a very heavy water user. For example, his increase in terms of real dollars will be significantly more than the average residential user. What can you give us? Can you give us a sense of what this, in dollars and cents, what does this mean for the average citizen?
Yes. There's a national benchmark that's used in determining appropriate rates, and basically you try to stay at or below 1.5% of median household income, and that's based on an average of 4,000 gallons of water per household. And so, if we use that as a benchmark, which is a national benchmark, the average increase for a residential customer that uses 4,000 gallons of water combined is about $16 a month.
So again, it will give and take, and if you're a very heavy water user, that's a different story. But on average, $16 a month increase is what we're looking at.
That's correct. Yes.
And there were a couple of questions I thought that were legitimate questions raised at the council meeting this week. Can this be, instead of 45% increase right now, can it be phased in? Could it have been phased in over a period of time?
No, because we're doing long-term financing on not only, as I mentioned, the $10 million bond anticipation note we have to take out and do long-term financing on. A bond anticipation note is short-term financing. We just did that with, or just issued a bond anticipation note for the downtown water main project. We're going to take that out at the same time. And then we've got numerous projects that are included in the $25 million, including improvements at the wastewater treatment plant, some sewer improvements. None of this is new sewers. It's either combined sewer overflow, elimination, wastewater and treatment plant improvements, Warwood pump station improvements, and then sewer renovations. But at any rate, it's cost effective to do as large a bond issue as you can manage over a period of time. It's going to take us a couple of years to get these. Some of these projects are ready to go now. They're engineered. Some will have to be engineered. But the issuance costs of a bond, there's a percentage that you use in determining the appropriate amount. The 18 to 20 million and now 25 million is right in the sweet spot as to the most cost-effective way to issue debt, and debt that we can manage. The advantage too is that interest rates at this point are low, and we're trying to lock in obviously a long-term financing. And right now the city has such good credit that we're looking at probably a 2 to 2.5% interest rate over a 30-year period, and that's very good. At any time going forward or going back for that matter. I'll give you a good example, Howard. I don't know if you remember, but when we did the water treatment plant, back in 2012. That was prior to the Public Service Commission law changes. The City Council at that time issued a rate increase of 70% for the water treatment plant, and because we were under the Public Service Commission rules, we had to use what's called planning rate for interest, and that interest planning rate, which was permitted under the code, was 6%. When it actually came time to issue the bonds, we were able to get the bonds issued at under 3%. That lowered that rate increase by 17%. So what we're doing is we're cutting that process out because we're permitted to, and we're using a planning rate of below 3%. So we've tried to narrow this, particularly the sewer side, as narrowly as we possibly can to ensure that it's not any larger than what it needs to be, but also is sufficient enough to do the projects we need to have done.
It is important for, I think, people to understand, and I'm sure most do, but I just want to repeat this. It's not as if you're getting the rate increase, an average of $16 or something per household, and you're taking that $16 and putting it over here in an account and using that $16 to actually work on the sewers. You're using it to back up a bond issue to get long-term financing, and I think people maybe kind of forget that step. This isn't just taxing money, throwing it into account, and using that money. It's using that money to pay off a long-term bond, which I think changes the complexion of this a little bit. Another question that was asked, I think, Bob, reasonable, at the meeting was, you have a lot of federal money that's coming in, has been coming in, and looks like more will be coming in. In fact, I think Senator Manchin's going to be at City Council today to talk about more of the federal money coming in. Can you use some of that federal money to lessen this blow?
Well, what we're looking at right now with the federal funds is, the rules and regulations have not come out yet. We're anxiously awaiting those, but there is a component in the statute that it's one line that says the funds can be used for water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure, and that's all it says. So what we're doing is our staff are looking. I mean, we have a whole list of projects, and anything that we do with the federal funds is going to, take off a project that otherwise would require a rate increase. And then in addition to that, part of our flooding problem is not related to a sewer line. We've got, as you know, Howard, we've got runs all over the place. We've got culverts that get plugged up. The Elm Run area of Woodsdale, the Army Corps of Engineers did a very comprehensive study of, the flooding, the recent flash flooding that's occurred in that neighborhood, and they've determined that we need to increase the size of culverts in order to let the flow of water go through, at high volume without getting clogged up with debris. That's a flooding issue, but that is not something that we can use water and sewer rates for. So we're looking at putting federal funds towards dealing with the flooding problem, but in a manner that we otherwise wouldn't have funds available for, as an example. And same thing on the water side. I mean, if we can upgrade a pump station out at Wheeling Park with federal funds, that's something that the ratepayers will not have to pay for, but yet needs to be done. So we've got millions of dollars worth of projects that we can eat into with these federal funds that again will benefit the ratepayer because they will not need to be there will not need to be rates associated with those projects.
With those other projects, yeah.
Yeah.
Bob, what kind of time frame are we talking about here? How long will we be before we see all this work done? The water side, the work's being done right now. You can see it on Market Street. On the sewer side, the last project in the $10 million 2016 bond anticipation note is the Badillion area sanitary sewer separation project, and that's about 60% done. The next set of projects... They've moved that, by the way, they seem to have moved that pretty quickly. I've been watching the progress there. They're making good progress there.
Yes, we've got an excellent contractor there. James White is a very, very good contractor. And some of the stuff you haven't seen, like we lined the sewer line in downtown Wheeling, which is has nothing to do with downtown. It's just that's where all the flow goes. So that was that was almost a $2 million project. But at any rate, to answer your question, we've got about $10 million of those projects that are engineered and ready for bid, and we anticipate accepting bids this summer once the bonds are issued, and those ordinances will be going to City Council at the next City Council meeting. And then the remaining portion will occur over the next year to 18 months.
So in a couple of years, most of this work should be done?
Yeah, from start to finish, it'll take about 3 years. There's a lot of projects because this is not a big $25 million project. It's a bunch of little projects that, not little, because some of them are pretty big, that go in all aspects or all areas of the city.
All right, sir, I appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for being available to answer some questions and maybe put this in perspective for folks who, you look at headlines and you go, oh my God, how could they do that to us? And then you begin to understand. So I appreciate your time today, Bob. Thanks very much.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Howard.
All right, we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, all right.
Wheeling City Manager Bob Herron checking in this morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show. So council approved these rate increases on Tuesday night. They go into effect fairly soon, 45 days after the vote. And but again, if there's the single biggest issue probably that people complain about in the city of Wheeling, maybe single biggest is roads. But a huge issue, it is the sewer overflow problems when we have heavy rains, and that's what these projects are designed to eventually alleviate, and you got to have money to do it. Simple as that. And again, I think some people get confused. I think people think, well, we're going to see a rate increase. Again, Bob said the average is going to be $16 a month, more if depending on how your water usage goes. That's not, again, I think one guy who spoke at the council meeting was a heavy user of water in his business. Well, he's going to see a significantly bigger increase, obviously. But taking the $16 a month as an average, it isn't as if that $16 gets taken out in a rate increase and it gets put over here in a little bank account, and then checks are written out of that bank account to pay for this sewer project. No, that money goes to be used to back bonds that are going to be issued, multi-millions of dollars of bonds to do the work. And so I just think people sometimes forget the way it's working. It's too easy, and I get it. All we want to do is complain, and I believe me, I get it. But I think we have to understand it better. Well, I want to understand this darn income tax proposal that apparently the Senate passed last night in West Virginia. Goes to the House next. I tried my best to figure it out. I was watching it, and I had a hard time getting a handle on it. Stephen Allen Adams is watching it as well, and he's with us coming up next to try to help me figure out what happened last night at the state Senate. It's all coming up here on the Watchdog Morning Show. First, some headlines.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now it's time for your local news headlines from 7 News at WTRF, My Ohio Valley, and ABC Ohio Valley. Only on AM.
Now let's see if Stephen wakes up.
I'm Stephen Ruffing with your 7 News headlines. Disturbing details regarding overdoses in Marshall County. Police say they're finding people passed out in cars and parking lots. Moundsville Police Chief Tom Mitchell says 2 people were found Wednesday morning turning purple. Police officers administered Narcan to save their lives. A couple hours later, another man was found unconscious in the ground.
Okay, he's awake in there. Okay.
At that level that, Darius is going to next year. So that's kind of just how I thought. And I was just like, I feel like it's best for me to stay another year and work. So I'm able to be at that level next year.
And that is Dante Stills, who hopes to be an anchor of WVU's defense this coming season. Baseball, the Mountaineers getting ready to head to Waco, Texas. They've got a weekend series starting tomorrow against those Baylor Bears. That is today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from Learfield, IMG College.
Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 want to thank the owners and contractors of the Ohio Valley for using their locally trained workers to help build for the future. Local 83 helps design, fabricate, and build the gas infrastructure for the oil and gas industry here in the Ohio Valley. Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 is 300 members strong and growing. They also do residential, commercial, and industrial work on both sides of the river. For more information, call Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 at 304-233-4445.
Now's the time to finish what you started by completing your degree at Ohio Dominican University.
It's not easy to always get to the finish line, but the only way you're gonna get is you gotta keep moving. Just kept putting one foot in front of the other. There was no quit. I was not gonna give up.
Pursue your bachelor's degree in high-demand fields such as business, risk management, and more. Classes start soon. Get started at ohiodominican.edu/adult.
Did you know that 3 Ohioans are diagnosed with oral cancer every day? Dentists are doctors of dental surgery and can recognize life-threatening conditions and treat oral diseases before they become serious health complications. Ohio Dental Association member dentists are located throughout the state and are dedicated to providing the highest quality dental care. Ask if your dentist is a member of the Ohio Dental Association and American Dental Association, so you know you're being treated by the best. To find an ODA dentist in your area, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
A serious injury from an accident can be just the start of your worries. What if you cannot return to work? How do you take care of your family if you're disabled? At Gelner Law Offices, we represent seriously injured people and understand their problem. We know how to get you fair compensation. We will work hard to make sure you get the money you deserve for your losses. Don't go it alone. If you're hurt in an accident, call us at 304-242-2900 or visit us at gelnerlaw.com.
We'd like to help.
Catch Biff Leonard on the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe. Weekday morning, 7 to 10 a.m. Only on the Watchdog. Live and local talk radio. Just the way you like it.
From the West Virginia Broadcasting Hall of Fame, directly to you. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe. Brought to you in part by Wheeling Hospital.
Sunny and 63 degrees here at my home studios right now. Temperature's rising, going to get close to 80 again before the day is over and done with, but the sun could turn into some clouds, or at least partly cloudy day with some rain coming in later in the day. Me and some of you are just out to criticize me a lot today. My goodness, Howard, off the text line here at 304-214-1600. My goodness, Howard. A very poor rant by you today. You're very disappointing. You made a ton of accusations about Tiger Woods. A drug abuser. Then you throw in it was a prescription medication. Then you say he was charged with speeding and failure to maintain control. Very poor rant by you. Well, in 2017, when Tiger Woods was involved in that crash, 5 different drugs were indeed found in his system. I didn't make that up. That's exactly the case. Several of them were prescriptions. And prescription painkillers, and others were not. So that's factual. Number 2, the Los Angeles County Sheriff just yesterday said Tiger Woods was speeding and didn't maintain control. Sheriff Villanueva blamed the crash on Woods' high speed and loss of control behind the wheel. So I didn't make it up, my friend. It's all right there in black and white.
And Howard, I was going to say, to go to your point, the story that I have from Yahoo, from their news conference, it basically said Woods did not brake prior to the accident, but did press on the accelerator at a 99% rate. Mm-hmm. And I think it's Lomita is how you say the name of the town, Lomita. Yep. Mm-hmm. Lomita Captain James Powers said, investigators believe Woods accidentally hit the accelerator instead of the brake. The final estimated speed when Woods' vehicle struck a tree was 75 miles per hour.
The sheriff had said 84 to 87 miles an hour, almost twice the limit. But nonetheless, my point is just responding to the texter who seemed to imply I made all that stuff up. Tiger does have a history of having used drugs. That was found in 2017 when he did the crash back then. They were, in many cases, prescription, so that was factually correct. And the sheriff says that he failed to maintain control and and was speeding. So that's all correct. Also, off the text line, forget to Stephen Adams here real quick, but I'm just defending myself here. 144,840 COVID deaths under Biden. No comment from liberal talk show hosts. I have no idea if that number is right. Maybe it is. I don't know. Every single day. What have I said? Every single day in the last couple of weeks. Well, every single day. Every single day. I've said the numbers are going up.
Numbers are up. And now we've got to worry about the UK variant now, apparently.
The variants. But no comment from liberal. Every single day I have said the numbers are going up. Cases are going up. Hospitalizations are going up. Deaths are going up again. They've gone down. Now they're going back up.
Maybe you're not giving the numbers. Maybe that's what the texter is upset about.
I tried to figure out the numbers on the income tax proposal last night. I was watching the Senate debate, and I couldn't figure it out. And I thought maybe Stephen Adams had a better understanding of it. So I thought I'd invite him to come on the show this morning. I just hope he's awake. Stephen, good morning.
I'm awake, and just kind of get away from that topic for a moment to back you up. I mean, even without the prior drug uses in the media and all that, look, if you're going 80 and a 40, look, I'm glad he's alive, but that should involve some criminal penalties. We all speed. Anyone that says they don't is a liar. If I'm on the interstate and the speed limit's 70, I'm going 80. But going twice the speed limit when you're in a 40 and an 80, yeah, I mean, sorry, I don't have a whole lot of sympathy for Tiger Woods. I mean, it's not like he's going to see jail time. They'll give him a big ticket and whatnot. He can afford it. But otherwise...
And on a windy road, you know, it's one thing if you're on a straightaway. It's also, if it's a 20-mile-an-hour zone and you're going 40 on a straightaway, I'm thinking in a section of Elm Grove, for example, that I go through every day. People don't ever follow the limit there. That's one thing. But if it's a windy road and the speed limit is 40 or 45, I forget what it was, where Tiger was, and you're going 90 on a windy, that's, you know, I'm sorry, it's just wrong, period. That's just period.
No, I agree. But no, I'm awake, sort of. It was certainly a late night. There was a late night for others, too, because keep in mind, the Senate Judiciary Committee went back in after the floor session at 9:30 and did not end till, I believe, after 2 a.m. this morning.
Holy.
So some people have had a later night than I have, that's for sure.
So the Senate came back with, or the Senate Finance Committee came back with sort of a modified version of the income tax proposal, somewhere between the Senate's bill, the governor's bill, and the governor's new bill. I mean, is that, I tried to follow it because it was hard to follow. There were no real PowerPoints, no presentations that I saw with documentation. But is that kind of what happened?
Yeah, no, you have it exactly right. The amendments, which I call the TAR amendments, came out, they say around 4 o'clock in the system. I probably didn't see it till closer to 4:30, and so I didn't have very much time to certainly read through it, but I read through it as much as I can between that and listening to Senator Eric Tarr, the Senate Judiciary Finance Committee Chairman's explanation of the amendment on the floor. But yeah, it's basically a hybrid. It takes the plan, the updated plan that the governor presented Monday night at the summit with majority and minority leadership in the legislature, and takes that plan that was presented Monday night, and then it also adds some tweaks, partially from the Senate Finance Committee plan, which was what was moving. So we're looking at a personal income tax phase out. Timeline wasn't really given on that. Looks like the first cut, starting in the next fiscal year, would be about 50% for all tax rates. Looks like that includes also the business pass-through, and I think the investment income, but I'm not sure about that one. So it includes all of that stuff. Still includes a sales tax increase. Original bill that the Senate came up with added an 8.9%. Governor's original version had it at 7.9%. Senate came down to 8%, so it would raise the sales tax from 6% to 8%. Would remove several exemptions for professional services and tax those. Includes a tiered severance tax for oil, coal, and natural gas, though it includes the updated version that the governor presented, which apparently is more palatable to the oil, coal, and natural gas industries. And the Senate
Stephen, I noticed one of the comments during that tiered discussion was the tiered natural resource discussion was that the natural resource industries would be contributing significantly when their business improves. In other words, we're not really looking for a huge increase in ability, in money coming in from them now, but when they get back on their feet, then they'll be a bigger player.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So they pay less when the market is low. They pay more when the market demand is high. Now, the original version, like I said, the rates were higher and not particularly something that pleased those industries, but apparently the governor was able to work something out with that. Now, the Senate was skeptical about a tiered severance tax because of it still being a volatile tax. It goes up and down. They decided to go ahead and put that in this updated version, but the revenue from that is now going to go to what basically their income tax smoothing plan. So for every $100 million that this fund they're creating would get, once it gets to $100 million, then $50 million would go to the general revenue, and that would basically kick in a 12.5% smoothing mechanism to begin phasing out the tax. Again, no timeline
reduce the tax further. Yeah.
Yeah, but the biggest problem last night, again, like I said, the amendment didn't get in the system until about 4 o'clock. The floor session was supposed to start at 5:30. It didn't really start till 6:30 because everybody needed time to try to absorb this, and the Democratic caucus was not happy about having to vote on this amendment and bill with very short notice. It remains to be seen. Apparently there was a fiscal note trying to explain the cost of this. I didn't see it. Apparently other Democratic senators didn't see it. At one point, Senator John Unger of Berkeley County tried to challenge a ruling of the chair so he could get a copy of the fiscal note. Very unhappy Democratic caucus happened to vote for this. And apparently some Republicans too, because it only passed 18-16. So we lose one more Republican and that thing dies in a 17-17 tie. But 5 Republicans split off from their caucus to vote against this.
Yeah, I forget who it was, but one of the Democrat members said, well, do you have a fiscal note? Eric Tarr said, yes. Can I see it? Well, I don't have it here. I suppose I could get you one. And it was like, you're asking us to vote on a complete revamping of our tax system, and we can't see the fiscal note to it that's attached to it? I mean, it just...
Yeah. Not only that, but I mean, there is a Senate rule, through Senate Rule 15A, that requires fiscal notes on bills that either raise or lower revenue. Now, the way they kind of got around that, again, I'll look today and see if there's a fiscal note to it. They said there was one on their online system. I don't know. But I didn't see one either. But basically, because it's a House bill that they were voting on, and not a Senate bill, that was sort of the way they kind of got around not having to have a fiscal note on that specific bill, or at least have one that was available for everyone to see immediately.
Now, this does go back to the House next. The Senate has now revised the House's version and sends it back for concurrence, for the revisions to be concurred with by the House. What's your best guess over in the House on this newer version? This is different from what the House had in mind.
Yeah. Assuming that they take up the message, I assume that they'll get the message from the Senate this morning on the passage of House Bill 3300. I had a front row seat Monday for the summit. Comments, particularly from House Finance Chairman Eric Householder, Republican out of Berkeley County as well. He was pretty adamant that the House thought their plan, which of course was the phase out really over a decade, if not longer, of the personal income tax. It doesn't have any tax increases, but also basically relies on growth and some cuts in government to try to continue cutting that. They're adamant that their plan is the best way forward, and the votes are just not there for the governor's original plan and for the Senate's original plan. And with this being a hybrid now of the new governor's plan and the new Senate plan, I don't think anything changes. I think that the votes are not there in the House. I suspect they'll reject the changes the Senate made to the bill. It will go to conference committee, and then it will die because they won't be able to come to a majority agreement on either side on any type of compromise on that bill.
And as you point out, even in the Senate, it was a very narrow vote. There were a number of Republican senators who did go and vote with the minority against this bill. So it's not overwhelming support even of the GOP majority right now in the Senate. So I tend to agree with you. You have a closer, better feel for it than I do, but I tend to agree with you. I think this probably just simply dies in the House, goes to conference committee. They're so dramatically different. What the House has in mind is so dramatically different than what the Senate and the governor were talking about. I just really can't see them putting it together. The thing that fascinates me, Stephen, Eric Tarr kept really repeating again over and over last night in the face of several questions that they truly seem to believe that hundreds of thousands of people will move into the state if we reduce the income tax. And just my opinion, I don't believe that for 1 second. I think the whole premise is dramatically flawed.
It's not only that, but also, and this seems to be clear from some of Tarr's comments and also from the comments from the governor, and you and I have talked about this before, which is the border county issue, which, as you and I obviously well know, is a legit issue. And the argument that seems to be made is, well, if they put more money in your pocket, which is what they say these plans will do, you're not going to have an incentive or feel like you need to go across the river or to the next state to get a better deal on gas or groceries or a pack of cigarettes, because you're going to have the money to pay for it. And I got to tell them that there's certainly plenty of people that have more money than probably you and I that will go across the river to save $1 or save 50 cents if they can. And it's almost just, I'm flabbergasted that they don't seem to understand that mentality. I guess they live a good life to where they don't have to think about that mentality. But you and I know what it's like on the border.
It's amazing to me, and I've said it almost every single day on this show. my wife and I go have lunch at Melman's frequently over in St. Clairsville, Ohio. We go shop at the Ohio Valley Mall. It's not like we're going to travel to Florida. We're literally going to drive across the Fort Henry Bridge. And, I mentioned to somebody yesterday, Wheeling Island, right now, given the traffic on the Fort Henry Bridge, Wheeling Island residents are closer to Ohio than they are to going into downtown Wheeling. It's easier to get there because of the traffic. And you throw in an incentive to 9%, because I add in the extra percent of the sales tax in Wheeling, to go across the river to Ohio. I don't think the governor has any sense of that. All right, Steve.
Well, and not only that,
go ahead.
Just real quickly, the tiers in this plan, if you get $50 back, if you make, between 30 and 35,000, that's, $50 in a year is not a lot.
Yeah, that's a point that Senator Caputo made. It was very incredulous. $50? You're going to get $50. $50 a year? Senator Tarr goes, oh, no, it's going to be spread out. They'll get it in spread payments over the year. But the total will be $50 a year? That's what they're getting? It makes no sense. Boy, I hope what I hope for, and I think will happen, is this thing dies of its own weight. And then let's spend some serious time getting serious thought to it, and let's look at fiscal notes and so on. But boy, what a mess this has been. Stephen, I'm way behind time. I apologize. I got you in late, but I thank you for getting up early and joining me this morning. I thank you for the work you do. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Harry.
All right. It's 9 o'clock. It's after 9 o'clock. ABC's got the world covered for us. They're already in progress. Let's go there now.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Person was...
Okay. Hate these 8:40 segments, but the legislative people don't have 9 o'clock available very often.